Hey everybody, today we're going to do a unboxing. Haven't done one of these before, but we're going to go over this diesel heater. Came from Vevor. Parking heater or a few other names they have. So, fuel tank. Most of these, this one seems the same when they ship them. You can hear there's parts down in there. I put the mounting screws and also the fuel connection fitting. Okay, so you can see here where the mounting screws will go through from this side, so that wherever you mount this is nice and flush for you. And then on this one, I have a different one that actually had a plastic nipple on the bottom of the tank already put in there for you, so you just took the fitting and screwed that on there. On this one, it looks like we have the option either here or here. So here's for reference, here's the neck, so here or here, as to where we want this fitting to come out. Okay? So that, this is the muffler for the exhaust coming off the combustion of the heater itself. Heater mounting plate. Okay, and then this is our box of accessories. So we've got the heater ducting here. I'm not going to pull it out right now, but it is expandable, of course. It's got one of the vents. It'll fit inside of there. Some of these heaters will come with a T-fitting. My other one I have has a T-fitting, and we're actually going to install this into a motorhome that we're acquiring here really soon. So in that configuration, we may end up putting a T-fitting in there, getting another one of these vents. Something to keep in mind with these, on my other one, I've actually replaced these with a different style that were, you could actually close some of the vents off, and this one, these will rotate somewhat. But the heat coming out of these diesel heaters is so hot that it actually melted the aftermarket one I bought. So just make sure you get something that will withstand the high heat that these machines have. This is the air filter housing for the air inlet to the heater. This is the exhaust pipe for the heater. There's a nice assortment here of clamps and zip ties, screws, fuel filter, stuff in there to get you going. This is the fuel pump, and then this is their supplied fuel line. And then the wiring harness. We've got the instruction manual. You want to be really gentle with this. This is our control panel, and they also come with a remote control. And then this is it. This is the machine. Okay? So this is an 8 kW. My other one I have is a 5 kW. So this will put out a little bit more heat. So on the bottom here you can see you'll have air intake, air exhaust. These are for your combustion chamber only. These you want to make sure that your exhaust is going outside to a safe source, and that your intake air is picked up from a safe source, whether that's inside or outside, as long as it's separate from your exhaust. And then this is where the fuel line will connect to it. This is where the harness will connect to hook it up. And right here, this is where the ducting will connect. So that's everything from the box. This one looks like, coming out of the box, it looks like it's kind of been beat up a little bit. As you can see, this doesn't fit really well. This side is actually popped out. So also, as I'm running my hand around in here, there's some flashing up inside of there that's really sharp. So need to be careful of that. That'll get cleaned up with a file. Plastic fan blades are right up inside of there. Since we have this off of here, we'll go ahead and give you a little tutorial here of what the inside of this machine is here. So this is a dual purpose fan. It draws air in and across these fins and pushes the hot air out there, of course, but the dual purpose is on the other side of this shaft inside, there's a fan that actually blows the combustion air. This is the ECU, the control unit, and this is your igniter. That's what gets everything going. And then you've got, this is your temp sensor. So pretty straightforward, pretty simple. And now we'll put it back together. I will say, guys, I am not overly impressed with the fit and finish on this unit. It is very, very rough. Very rough. My other one, I forget the brand that my other one is. If I get a chance to look, I'll put it in the description when I process this video. But yeah, this unit, I don't know. We'll see how well it does. But if I were to rate its quality right now, just based on what I'm seeing, I would give it, out of 10, probably a 4 or a 5. All right. Okay, well, I think what we're going to do here we'll be very gentle with our control panel. But we need to get the fuel line fitting out of here. There's our filter. Okay, so you want to make sure you take and install the O-ring on the fitting, like so. And then, of course, we're going to go get a drill bit that's that size. Okay, so for this fitting, we're looking at it's about a 5/16 or 8 millimeter drill bit. We're going to use the bottom spot for this. You want to tap it around and get any debris out of there. Okay, take you a piece of wire. You could probably use, I'm sure you could use coat hanger, or you could use maybe a piece of string with a fishing weight on it. Would probably work too. But, so we're going to take this and we're going to feed it through here and get this wire to come out the neck. Just like so. Okay. Now, we've got our piece here, a fitting, that of course needs to go from the inside down like that. So what we're going to do, slide the wire through that, and then just going to curl this over so that it'll hold. I just want to make sure that won't come off of there. Now, if we keep this turned upside down, we should be able to pull this through. We get our piece like that. Pull our wire out, and we're done with that. Once again, we made sure our O-ring was on the inside there. Now, we'll just put the nut on the outside. It's going to take both hands because it's spinning. that. Now with this, you're dealing with soft aluminum, super soft aluminum and plastic. So you do want it snug so it can't move, but you don't want to reef on it. All right. So that's got our fuel tank ready to go. Take our fuel line. Now, all of these fuel line connections, they have a clamp that they want you to use. Okay, just a little squeeze with a pair of pliers, and that'll hold it in place for you. I'm not going to do that right now because, like I said, this is going to be installed in an RV that we're acquiring. So for right now, these are pretty stuck on here. It stretches that fuel line pretty good. Now, it's not to say I'm leaving it this way. I'm going to do it this way to test this unit, but also if you're going to install this, you may want to do a temporary setup like we're going to do here today, just because when you first light this thing off, as the helicopter world calls an engine start, lighting it off, all this ductwork, the heater itself, and that, it does put off some scent. It can be kind of strong. So you kind of have to do what you do with a brand new barbecue. You know, they always tell you with a brand new barbecue to put it on high for 30 minutes or whatever. I would say set this thing up and burn a tank through it. And then at that point, everything will be up to temp. It'll be cooked off, burned off, whatever you want to call it. And then when you go and install this in your space, you're not going to have any smell. Got my tank set up over to the side there, out of view, but that's going to be my temporary spot. Want to check your fuel filter. A lot of times they'll have an arrow on them. This one I don't see it. Doesn't really specify in the instructions. So also this thing is, just notice this is a cleanable filter. So comes apart, it's got the O-ring in there, it's got a nice mesh screen that can be cleaned. So So, but that can also be a source of a leak. So if you are trying to get your heater going, you want to make sure that's good and tight, because the fuel pump's not going to be able to pull through there if it's got an air leak. Alright, go ahead and install that in our fuel line. Install our fuel line onto it. Next will be figuring out where we're going to mock up our fuel pump. These, the instructions are usually very specific about. So, it says right here, when installing the dose oil, which is Chinese conversion to English for fuel pump, note that the nozzle should be upward. The installation angle shall be larger than 15 degrees. So they want this to be sitting at an angle between 15 and 35 degrees as your reference there, okay? I will tell you, on my other diesel heater that I have, I did not do that, and it has been working wonderfully. Okay, and then of course from there, we'll mock up. I'm sorry I'm out of view there for you guys, but this is just the way I got to do it for now, to temporarily run this thing to burn it off. And then how I initially did the run on my other one. To have it so that it didn't smell, was I set it up on 2 jack stands like that, and basically just set it up like that, and then of course we can run our fuel line to it. Alright, so that has pretty much mocked everything up for right now. Except for our electrical. Pretty straightforward. This one will be fuel pump. This looks like our main ground. This looks like our positive. And then with the other two, we'll have connection for the display and then connection to the unit. Okay guys, we've got everything hooked up here. We're just starting here to see if we can get it to start drawing fuel. of the big things you want to make sure you never do with these is when you have them running, you want to make sure that you never disconnect power. Because what will happen is the unit will overheat, damage itself. And obviously if you have a fire or something like that going on and you've got to get it to stop, then you're going to disconnect the battery and get it out of the space as fast as you can. But under most conditions, turn it off and it'll stop the combustion section and the fan will turn on high and it'll push all the heat out. So, and that takes 30 seconds or so. What the unit will do is it gets airflow going and then it'll turn the fuel pump on and you'll hear the click, click, click of the fuel pump. Plus you'll get the icon on the display here. It'll show fuel pump. But it'll only do that for 20 seconds or so. If it doesn't receive fuel and actually ignite and start to burn in there, then it'll shut itself down. And then you just start that process again. And we are right there with our fuel. So, should get it this time. But hard to say, might take a second one. When you hook this thing up, if you hook it up in your shop, you can go on eBay and get a power adapter, something like that. Or if you hook it up in an RV of some sort, power requirements for these, they can take up to 10 amps when they first start because of the igniter in there that we showed you in the very beginning. It draws a lot of power to get that. It's like a glow plug in a diesel. That thing just gets glowing, and then that'll kick off once it's self-sustaining burn, and then they draw around 3 amps on average is what they usually draw, and that's just the blower motor itself. It's almost to the nipple on the bottom of the heater. Okay, now it's at the nipple at the bottom of the heater right there. Okay, I just heard it ignite. Perfect. Yep. might be a little hard to hear with the cars going by outside, but my shop heater, I just shut it off. It'll cycle off in a minute, but then you'll be able to hear this. Starting to put out a little warm air. Got some new smell going. But hey everybody, that's going to do it for this one. We got the Vevor 8kw heater unboxed, put together, and sitting here running. We're going to let this thing run for a while so it can burn off all of the odd smells before we install it in the RV. So we'll catch you next time.